Whether you're into football, baseball, there's just something about spring and hearing the term spring, whether it's spring training, spring practice. It's just a rebirth, a renewal of life. And for dormant sports teams, there is hope. And so we're talking Auburn football. We got Kyle Loomis on the line coming off that 5-7 season. Please join Kyle and the rest of the fine staff there at E2C Network. They talk all things Auburn. Kyle, how you doing today?
I'm doing good. Today is a very good day for a variety of reasons. Anytime we get to talk football and we're not just actually speculating, we're actually getting, we say legitimate football. It's spring football. It doesn't technically count, but it's something tangible we can look at and see. Very much needed for the Auburn family right now, whether it's because other sports may not be doing the way we exactly anticipated them, or because of, as you mentioned, that 5-7 season that we're coming off of. It's a much needed change of pace and a much needed breath of fresh air for a variety of reasons. So there's a lot of excitement today with actually, as we're recording this today, it's day one for spring practice for Auburn football. Sharing photos of the new facility. They're going to be going out there and using that for the very first time officially. I'm sure they've been in it a lot already. And just the excitement abounds for me personally, but I'm sure for the rest of the Auburn family.
And some of that excitement has to do with a lot of new faces on this defense as we break it down. And we would invite everyone to check out the videos that we posted with Kyle here in the last couple of weeks on the offensive side of the ball, position by position. Now we check out the defense. Unfortunately, Colby Wooden moves on as a defensive end to the NFL draft. But other than that, there are some new faces to talk about and also some old standbys up front.
Yes. Yeah. A lot of new faces, a lot of new things. So these issues or I guess storylines aren't typical or are typical, I should say, for most teams. They have some new things to talk about, new faces coming in, people leaving, but Auburn's got three things I think that when you look at what to watch this spring for the defense to look at. One, Ron Roberts is a defensive coordinator coming in. What are they going to look like? We will get some semblance of that as we go throughout spring practice, but my guess is we won't fully know that, obviously, until we get a legitimate game to talk about. Number two is what you talked about. Who's leaving? Colby Wooden, you mentioned, Derek Hall, many others. Who is going to replace these guys? On the field, off the field, their leadership, what they were able to pull together for this team to somehow almost become bowl eligible is incredible. So how you replace that amount of leadership and athletic ability on the field is one of the biggest question marks for this offseason, but this spring practice as well. And then some of these new faces that we'll talk about at different positions. There's a lot I think Auburn fans should be excited about immediately, but also some that may be around here for a little while. There's some new faces that are coming in that might stick around for a little bit that will become mainstays part of the defensive group.
Yeah, so there's a few up front in Lawrence Johnson coming in from Purdue, Justin Rogers from Kentucky. So kind of set us up with the defensive line look.
Yeah, that's really exciting. There has been some depth needed at the interior defensive lineman that was already addressed a little bit this offseason. There's still speculation. Do we need some more depth filled in certain areas, whether that was on offense or defense? And we'll see how. I think you know this as well as anybody, that there'll be probably another wave of transfer portal stuff as soon as these spring practices start winding down, or at least get halfway through them. But really, it's interesting when you talk about new faces, you've also got to balance some of the old faces that are there. At the interior defensive line position, you got guys like Jason Jones, Marcus Harris, who have been there for a little while, include Jeffrey Imba in that. They're going to factor in and maybe possibly still start. But you mentioned guys like Justin Rogers, Lawrence Johnson. Those guys are really going to factor into the rotation there. I feel really good about our depth after the transfer portal situation, especially when you talk about a guy like Justin Rogers, who was one of the highest rated recruits when he came out of high school, spent his few seasons at Kentucky, is now coming over to be here with the Auburn Tigers. Will he bust into, a starting position? My guess right now is I'm just going to lean on no, because Jason Jones is pretty good. Marcus Harris is pretty good, but you're going to see a lot of Justin Jones. You're going to see a lot of Lawrence Johnson. You know how you need to rotate bodies through that defensive lineman, especially interior wise. On the ends, though, you've got a lot of opportunities for some players with Colby Wooden being out of the mix. There's Messiah Nasili Kite, Quintrell Jamison Travis, a few of these names that may factor in, and then plenty of others as well, because we get into this debate sometimes. I feel like you talk about edge rusher versus defensive end, where they're kind of basically the same position, but kind of not as well. Those are just some of the newer names that I would be looking to watch at those positions, especially for Auburn fans who are ready for a fresh look at things.
Kyle Loomis is stopping by to talk Auburn football. Please check out our videos across the board, looking at the offense. We're checking out the defense today, going through each layer of that side of the football. And keep in mind that today, it being, depending on when you're watching this, this being Monday, February 20, I lose track of the dates, 27th, the very first day of spring practice for the Auburn Tigers under head coach Hugh Freeze in his first go at Auburn football, of course. And that's another aspect of this with a new defensive coordinator and a new head coach.